Oh, we should be live. There we go. What's going on, everybody? Friday. We made it. June 14th. 15 game slate coming up for Friday. Lots to talk about there. I'm joined by Adam, but first we got to talk about the same thing that we talk about all the time. At the top of the 150K walk-off home run yesterday on DK, the 555. None other than Osimo at the top of the heap. Brought in another 50K win. Can't beat it. We got it pulled up right now. I believe it's 9 max. So he had DeGrom in 8 of those 9 lineups. Winning lineup got him a naked Blue Jays stack. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
That was a good spot to be. Cavan
Yeah.
Biggio batting 7th was, or 6th or 7th, whatever he was. That was a good spot to be. I know I'd gotten there a pretty decent amount too. It's nice to get 2 home runs from a 6% owned guy towards the bottom of the order.
Yeah, I nerfed a little bit of Blue Jays last night. Still had a ton, but I was just like, okay, I probably don't need to be that high. They continue to let me down. You know, they're not. I know why they're getting into my lineups. And last night was the night where it was just like, oh, I would have had twice as much of that guy on a normal day. Kills me. He went DeGrom, Kershaw in that top lineup with that naked Blue Jay stack. Got VR with a bagel at second base. Tommy Pham, like the rest of his lineup was well. He had Machado, which obviously went very well for him, but won that 50K with a bagel from VR. Kudos, boss. It's always great to like open this stuff up. First thing I do, I open up lineup study, head over to the first place payout, and just immediately it's like, okay, that looks pretty normal. Osimo, second name listed. There's Empire Maker, Mr. Good Seats. Cheese is good. It's just good day for the Sharps yesterday, clearly.
What tournament did you say that was?
So Alex won the walk-off home run. That's the 555 one.
Okay. I just wanted to pull it up and see it.
Yeah.
Always nice when you win those 33% the first tournaments too.
Yeah, for sure. Relay throw, which was the 50K to first. That's the $15 150 max, which I wish they would change the structure but oh well. Alex profitable, plus 1,000, finished 5th. So another kudos to the boss man there. Just couldn't get to the top. What was the nut lineup here?
That's the one I came really close in and then fell off at the end when John Lester imploded.
Gotcha.
It's always really frustrating when you have a tournament sweat and it's with a pitcher that you had absolutely zero interest in and not a lot of, and then he's the one that lets you down.
You didn't have a lot of John Lester going into last night?
I had like 6%, and that was 6% more than I wanted.
Sure. So the winning lineup in the relay throw, coming from Royal Pain 21, 50K. 5-man Blue Jays, 3-man Rockies. The DeGrom Homer Bailey pairing. Homer Bailey, 25.9 fantasy points, more than Jake DeGrom last night. What a world we live in. What a world. What else did he have? Walters at catcher, Story shortstop, Blackman. Yeah, Blackman with 43 will certainly help things out. Surprised to see so many full 5-man Blue Jays and maybe not like a 5-man Rockies just because of that Blackman number. Really had to get that 43 in there to push yourself to the top in anything sort of large field.
Yeah, I think you pretty much needed like at least 2 of Blackman, Biggio, Ohtani, Machado.
Yeah, a lot of these top lineups had... Wow. So the top 9 lineups in this $15 all had 5-man Blue Jay primaries. A couple of them had Rocky mini stacks. Most of them were naked. One had a Diamondbacks 2-man, and then one of them had a Padres 2-man, which clearly had to include Machado.
Yeah. I just looked. So I ended up with 5 teams in the top 100 of that tournament. The top 4, it's 5. I have a 5-man Blue Jays, 3-man Rockies, 5-man Blue Jays, 3-man Rockies, 5-man Blue Jays, 2-man Rockies, 5-man Blue Jays, 3-man Rockies, and then a naked 5-man Rockies were my 5 in the top 100.
Down $22.50 yesterday. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it. That's a win.
Yeah, that's a win. I was hanging out with family yesterday because I'm out in Arizona visiting them, and I had said I had a chance at winning some good money, and ended up breaking even. And they were all kind of disappointed, and I was just like, yeah, that's still a win.
Yeah, 18, 23, 32. A lot of Blue Jays Rockies right at the top.
Yep.
15.2 out of Jack Flaherty. That's enough, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not enough yesterday because of Homer Bailey, but it's enough.
Yeah, that's kind of why Flaherty was such a good play, in my opinion. Was clearly, I mean, obviously in the range of outcomes for him was just like a completely mediocre game.
Yeah.
But he was just so cheap where that's not what you wanted. And if I knew he was going to get 15 points, I wouldn't have rostered him. But it doesn't kill your lineups. It's like really, really difficult for a guy with that kind of strikeout stuff to fail at that price tag.
Yeah, I mean, your top lineup has Flaherty.
Right.
The downfall is John Lester there. If John Lester is, I don't know, insert 7K pitcher. How much money did you have left there? $100 on there. So insert someone at 7,900, slightly less, and it changes for you pretty dramatically to get to 18 with that Lester essential bagel for a pitcher.
Yeah, where did that line up? Oh, that Lester wasn't on. God, that's really annoying.
Yeah. Finished 18th with Lester.
Yeah, Lester and Flair. So 20. I finished 18th with less combined pitching points than Homer Bailey had.
Rough. That's profitable in the mini max if we're just going to touch on it. Let's see. What was my highest line? 182.35. So, ooh, I wonder if it's the same lineup here that you finished 32nd with. You also had 182.35. Blue Jays, Rockies, 25679 with a 1-2 Rocky stack. Let's look.
Mine was Flaherty. Do you have yours in front of you?
Yeah.
Flaherty, DeGrom.
Nah, we're already different.
Okay.
I got there with Gray, Lester. I had a ton of John Gray yesterday.
How do you end up doing?
24.
Okay.
10 Ks, I think. No walks. Gave up a bunch of hits. Like, it looked really rough early. Gave up runs immediately and then just started mowing everybody down. But finished 24.1, which, let's see where he ended up as a pitcher. He was the fourth highest scoring pitcher. 500th of a point behind DeGrom, behind Greinke, and then behind, obviously, the top pitcher of the slate, Homer Bailey.
Yeah.
I ended up with 24% John Gray on DK yesterday. Got bailed out there a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I thought he was an okay play. I didn't get to much, but that's just because I basically just had, outside of guys that I'd sprinkled in, I was really concentrated on pitching yesterday with DeGrom, Price, which went miserably.
Sure.
DeGrom, Price, Flaherty, Bailey. I don't remember if there was a fifth or not.
Yeah, I didn't have much Price under the field there. Yeah, I'm always willing to take those sorts of John Gray performances in cores, but man, after that first inning, it was not looking favorable. The fact that he got to 24 is a miracle. But yeah, kudos to the boss. Another 50K. Keep lining those pockets. Oh yeah, by the way, shout out to Sean V for saying that Trevor Story was a terrible play yesterday because he can't hit lefties in cores.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah.
Normally when he says stuff, it's like dumb, but it's backed up by really small sample size stuff.
I think Jake posted the screenshot in. I want to get the verbatim quote here, so I'm going to search for Jake's messages in Premium Baseball just so I don't miss it. I know he posted the screen grab. So let's see. From Jake Hari. There it is. The quote is, it even concerns you. Story a horrible pick by Ship. Bad in cores versus lefties for some reason. Hits righties way better. Trevor Story, ladies and gentlemen.
Like normally it's like, oh, this guy can't pitch on the road because he made one start there and he didn't pitch well. But Story has hit lefties ridiculously well in cores like forever.
Yeah.
Like you would kind of expect because it's Story and it's cores.
Yeah. I'm shocked that he's batting 200 versus lefties in cores this season. That's the response from old Sean V here. So.
Oh, wow. Good to know. I would have never looked that up.
Yeah. Do you know why you wouldn't look that up?
Because it doesn't matter.
There we go. If Sean V is the GOAT, what happened to that GOAT? That GOAT, like, make it through Chernobyl or what? Come on. Ugh. Anyway, MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. If you want to get better takes than don't play Trevor Story against a lefty in course, use that promo code to sign up at Awesemo, where we will never give you that advice. Also, we're brought to you by Yahoo Sports. Yahoo is the presenting sponsor on this show, on the Deeper Dive, and on the Early Bird podcast. I'll drop a link in the YouTube chat. This is to Emacs Yahoo specific article because this is Friday. We do a Yahoo specific show at 1 o'clock. There will be a link in that article to sign up at Yahoo. If you want to use that link, it would be very helpful to us. You can use the promo code Awesemo and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. When I woke up this morning and sat down, it was right around 7 o'clock. There was barely anybody in the 6K guaranteed, no management fee, $3 entry contest on Yahoo. As of right now, that we're already up to 1,300. Only 700 spots remaining. So if you're looking to get into a contest that has absolutely no management fee whatsoever associated with it, better hurry right now. Only 700 spots left on Yahoo, but go check it out. Now here we go. We got a lot to talk about. The full 15 today. Got to go through everything. Let's start at the top if you're ready.
Yep.
Nats and Diamondbacks. We're starting off with a big one right out of the gate. 4.3 run implied total for the Nats, 3.2 for the Diamondbacks, 62% chance to win for Washington. Max Scherzer going for the Nats, Robbie Ray going for the D-backs. We probably need to at least mention Gerrit Cole, Scherzer and Cole, the two, in my opinion, the two top arms on the day. So let's start there. How do you feel about Scherzer, and then how do you feel about Scherzer in relationship to Cole?
I really like Scherzer. I like Cole a little bit more.
Same.
Cole just has been the best strikeout pitcher in baseball. He's probably been the best starter in baseball all season. He, leads the slate in strikeout percentage by a lot over Scherzer. Well, if you exclude Andrew Heaney, but 38.6% strikeout percentage for Cole is about 5 percentage points higher than Scherzer is. The walk percentage is really similar. They're both great pitchers. They're both in favorable matchups, but I think that Toronto's a bit better matchup for strikeouts for Cole, and he's the better strikeout pitcher. So I'd give him the edge.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think Cole has a better strikeout matchup, but a slightly more difficult team to face just from like a danger perspective, whereas I think Scherzer has a less than advantageous strikeout matchup, but I don't think the lineup is as strong. So it's an interesting balancing act. I assume I get to more Cole than Scherzer, but really there's no limit to the amount I would want of either guy. I'm not trying to, I'm not bummed out about anything.
Yeah. I also probably worth pointing out that, while Scherzer is really good no matter who he's facing, there's probably going to be somewhere between 4 and 6 lefties in the lineup for Arizona.
Yeah.
And you do get a huge drop in strikeout percentage compared to against righties. Scherzer struck out 38% of righties compared to 27% of lefties. So when you're kind of splitting hairs between two top-end pitchers like that, that is worth considering, I think.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. Do you have any interest in Robbie Ray, though, on the other side?
Not really at that price tag. If he were cheaper, but I think he's a good strikeout pitcher, no question. But it's not like it's a Nats team that has a ton of strikeouts in this lineup. Turner's a tough strikeout. Rendon's a tough strikeout. So is Kendrick. So is Suzuki, assuming he's in the lineup. And it's not like he's the same price as Scherzer or Cole, but he's close enough to, where I think I'd rather just go cheaper or find the money for those guys because I think it's a pretty dangerous matchup for him.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Just he's not cheap enough to want to try to force that in on a 15-gamer. Let's talk stacks here. I can't imagine we're going to be targeting the Diamondbacks, so my question would be, do you have any interest in the Nats?
Yeah, mostly more so as one-offs. I mean, Anthony Rendon is expensive, but he's just a really good hitter. Overall, they're a pretty expensive team, which isn't great. If Yan Gomes for some reason catches over Suzuki, he probably gives you pretty good value at catcher. But overall, I don't think it's a spot on a 15-game slate that I'm getting a ton of.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's Trey Turner for me at the top, and that's basically it. Not that I ever have any problem getting to Anthony Rendon or something, but Robbie Ray's good. It doesn't feel like a spot where I need to get to the Nats on a day where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams above 5 runs for an implied total. Grabbing the Nats at 4.3 against Robbie Ray feels like a bit of a tough sell. Now, if I get to guys like Turner at the top, I'm cool with it, but this is going to be a tough sell for a 5-man.
Yeah, I agree.
To the Orioles we go. Your boys. 4-run implied total for the Orioles, 5.5 for the Red Sox, 65% chance to win for Boston. Jimmy Jakob going for the Orioles, Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Sox. I guess I have to ask you, do you roster Jakob at all because he's 4K?
I was trying to pull it up now and see where exactly he's been at pitch count wise, because I know he was stretched out earlier in the year. I don't know for sure what's been going on with him. I'm trying to get those numbers up. But
I gave him 3 innings.
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible spot.
Yeah.
He isn't a consistent pitcher. He has decent stuff. It's just that he doesn't really know where it's going. Yeah, I mean, I can't get there. He threw 15 pitches yesterday. He threw 25 pitches on the 11th. Threw 8 pitches on the 8th. He hasn't thrown. Yeah, he's not stretched out whatsoever.
No. Can't do it. What about Eduardo Rodriguez? $42 on Yahoo, $8,500 on FanDuel, $8K on DK. I think he's pretty nice in this middle tier of salary, especially against Baltimore. The park scares me, but this lineup is terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the Orioles have a lot of right-handed bats, and they have had some success against lefties this year, at least recently. But there are still strikeouts here, and Rodriguez is good against right-handed hitters. I think the price tag, it's kind of like Flaherty yesterday in that, I think the price tag is low enough on Rodriguez where even when he disappoints, a large percentage of the time he disappoints, it's where he gets like 16 points or something.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a really, really atrocious lineup. The first 5 hitters on the Red Sox all have weighted runs created plus better than the highest number from Baltimore, which is 107 from Trey Mancini. Everybody else under 100. They're just bad. They're just really bad. I'll have a decent amount of Eduardo Rodriguez. I really like the idea of a pairing of him and Andrew Heaney. If you want to save a little bit of money and be completely different, just 2 guys in that entire mid tier. But otherwise, I want to pay attention to Red Sox bats, particularly at the top. They are my number 3 stack on DraftKings, number 2 on FanDuel, and number 3 on Yahoo as of right now. I'm just in for whatever I can get of Boston because the park looks great. The run total looks great. Jakob is not great. You're going to get a ton of the Baltimore bullpen by all accounts, which is also terrible. I can't imagine not wanting to have a bunch of Boston.
Yeah, right there with you. They're in a really good spot. They're more expensive than they have been, but they're not egregiously priced. And the bottom of the order still gives you some value with guys like Jackie Bradley, Brock Holt. Bradley being the preferred option of those 2, but just kind of cheaper guys that you can mix into stacks if you need to. Yeah, really good spot for Boston.
Any bats that stand out more than anything for you? I mean, it's kind of like a tale of 2 separate teams. You've got all of the talent packed 1 through 5. Not that like Brock Holt is like bad, or anything at the bottom is bad, but it's a very different team in the first 5. Anybody standing out to you?
It's hard to distinguish between those first 5 guys. But I mean, it's pretty much always JD and Mookie is the top 2.
Under contract to buy a house now, apparently. Just got that text message, so that's terrifying.
Hope you have a good day of DFS.
Yeah, you and me both. Might have to enter a bigger tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get to a lot of Boston. It's hard just because of that outfield, 3 straight 5K guys filling out with Devers and Bogarts. I'll probably have to force them a little bit more than like I would like to, but that's fine by me. They have crazy upside here against Baltimore.
Agreed.
I need to get back to Baltimore to see a game.
Yeah.
I've seen one game there. Orioles, Yankees. Alfonso Soriano led off the game with a home run, and then Baltimore hit a walk-off dong to win 3-2. Dope game.
Nice.
I think I ate $200 worth of food that day. We had seats in like the right by the right field foul pole. I don't know what that little like area and street is called.
Utah Street.
Is that what it is? Well, obviously you would know. I just could not stop going over there and be like, yeah, can I get one of these sandwiches and give me a sausage? It was just shoveling food down my throat.
They have good food and good beer selections there.
I think I was 18 at the time, so no beer for me on that one. But food over and over and over again. They got something in the ground, right? That somebody hit, was it Mo Vaughn maybe, that hit like a monster bomb out there that they have like a spot on the ground for it.
Yeah, they have a ton of those. Any ball that's been hit on the Utah street, there's a plaque like commemorating where it hit or landed.
That's so awesome. Cool park. To the Rays we go. Probably have a lot to talk about here. 4.1 run implied total for the Rays, 3.1 for the Angels. 61% chance to win for Tampa. Blake Snell going for the Rays. Andrew Heaney going for the Angels. It's weird. We get a lot of these Cole Scherzer slates at the top, and I feel like I have not been getting as much Blake Snell as I was in like the April area of the year. He's the 5th most expensive pitcher here, but tough spot against the Angels. They don't strike out all that much. I like Blake Snell, but I doubt that I get all that, like get to him a lot. Do you anticipate getting to Blake Snell?
I don't know that I'll get. I don't anticipate getting to a ton because kind of the same thing I said about Robbie Ray, where he's close enough to Scherzer and Cole that I probably end up just sacrificing a bat or two to get there. But I do like Snell more than I like Ray. I just think he's a better pitcher. No real question about that. And while the Angels are a tough strikeout matchup, the price tag is really fair on Snell. It's a good park, and he's got just really, really good strikeout stuff. I mean, he's got a higher strikeout percentage this year than Max Scherzer does. And I think that's worth considering, especially in tournaments when you're talking about a $1,500 price difference between them. So probably not getting a ton of Snell, but he is my preferred guy in that 10K, but less than Scherzer Cole range.
So I actually prefer Rich Hill. So that's another thing that's keeping me away from Snell. John Means season in YouTube chat said he's intrigued for what my K projection is for Snell. It is 7 on the dot. I don't know. I feel like I haven't played Blake Snell in a really long time after playing him in like really crazy amounts for a certain stretch.
I had a ton of him against Boston last start, so I can't say that.
Now, how about Andrew Heaney at a much more reasonable $8,900 FanDuel price, $8,800 on DK, $42 on Yahoo. Had a kind of a rough start in his last time out, but has shown monstrous strikeout stuff. At that price tag, I expect to have like a really crazy amount.
Yeah, I would too. Tampa Bay they're a dangerous lineup, but they have a lot of strikeouts. And, in that start against Seattle, the plate discipline numbers were still just absolutely insane. 18.7% swinging strike percentage, 41.5% chase percentage. He's had ridiculous plate discipline numbers all 3 starts now. 2 against Seattle, 1 against Texas, all favorable strikeout matchups. So, that's worth keeping in mind. But he's looked really, really good. And he gets another favorable strikeout matchup here against Tampa, who, as of yesterday, the last time I checked, has the highest, their active roster has the highest strikeout percentage against left-handed pitching. So,
yeah,
good park as well. He's still fairly priced. It's not like we're having to pay 10K for him or something.
So just got ownership in to my sheet. Heaney right now, 10% on DraftKings. Blake Snell, 16.
Yeah, I'll take Heaney at their respective prices.
Yeah, I think Heaney's a better option than Snell just because of those tags. Why am I showing that many teams right now? 29 starters on DraftKings. That doesn't make a ton of sense. 30 teams. Okay, whatever. Circling back to the ownership, Max Scherzer at 25 right now on DK. Cole at 30, since they're kind of going hand in hand. Erod is the chalk, or second most chalk behind Cole, so he's at 27%. That's everybody that we've talked about so far that would be interesting. Red Sox getting absolutely no ownership on DraftKings right now, which probably not all that shocking. They are a difficult team to get to come up in optimizers because of their price today. Yeah, I really like Heaney at 10. I will certainly have more than that. Let's talk about bats. It's a low-scoring game on both sides. Pitching is getting a little love. Do you expect to be stacking up either side, or do you think this is more like a one-off or small stack situation?
Seems more like a one-off or small stack situation for me. From the Angel side, you have Trout and Ohtani, who are both just really, really good hitters, but they're in a terrible spot against Snell in a bad park. And then on the other side, you have Pham, Garcia, who are good hitters. You have d'Arnaud, who's really cheap. Adames is really cheap. Heaney's really good, and it's a bad park. So I don't anticipate getting a whole lot of either team, but maybe some one-offs with Tommy Pham power or Travis d'Arnaud value or something like that.
No one in this game, from a hitting perspective, any site, either team, has more than 4% ownership. So if you want to find some, if you have a particular bat that you like, no one's there. But there's a reason for that. Both pitchers are good. I'm good on this game.
Yep.
Reds and Rangers. 5.5 run implied total for the Reds, 4.5 for the Rangers, 59% chance to win for Texas. Nope, for Cincinnati. Tyler Mahle going for Cincinnati. Jesse Chavez going for the Rangers. Do I have that right?
Yep.
Okay. I guess we have to talk about this. Did not expect to see this. Tyler Mahle, 18% ownership on Yahoo, 22% on DraftKings at 6,700. You a Tyler Mahle guy here in Cincinnati against Texas.
It's a tough one for me because I'm always a Tyler Mahle guy, but he's improved this year. But there are still two kind of obvious splits where he's better. One is when he's outside of Great American, which makes sense. The other is when he's facing a right-handed heavy lineup, which again makes sense. Neither of those are the case here. He's in Great American. He's facing a Texas team with a ton of left-handed power. I still think Mahle's a reasonable play at 6,700 on DraftKings. You have to roster two pitchers, but the spot does scare me. And if he is going to get that much ownership, I absolutely think there's merit to going to, Shin-Soo Choo and Nomar Mazara and Cabrera and Odor and Guzman and looking to get, left-handed power against them.
There are so many lefties in this lineup. Monster, it's an incredible hitter's park. I cannot imagine wanting to have Tyler Mahle in a fifth of my lineups today on a 15-game slate. I don't see it. I don't understand it. I will absolutely not have 22% of Tyler Mahle. Not even close.
Yeah, I think it's possible I ended up around there just because he's cheap and because I do really think he's a good pitcher. But it's like the worst conditions for Mahle to be successful. That's not to say he can't be successful and that he's not underpriced for his talent level, but it's a very scary spot for him.
I'm going to have a lot of Rangers if that ownership stays.
Right.
I can't imagine going a different direction. I get that the lineup isn't really at full strength, whatever that means for the Rangers, I guess. But Choo, Mazara, Odor, and I'll try to avoid Jeff Mathis at this point. He hits like Sean V makes picks. I just want these dudes. All signs point me to the Rangers. Even a 4.5 run implied total for being like a pretty big underdog. That's more than enough for me right now. I'm going Rangers grade out as my 9th best stack, just relative to salary. No one's getting any ownership. Mathis actually highest at 11% because of his stupid $2,100 price tag on DraftKings. I'm going to have like 3 times the field of the Rangers, which the field is 1%. Minus Jeff Mathis. I'm comfortable with that fade. Craziness. Absolute craziness. What do you think about the Reds bats, though? Also grading out pretty well for me. They get Chavez. They get the benefit of the high run total. Still get the benefit of their park. Nothing too crazy for their pricing. They seem pretty easy to stack. This should not come very surprising, but they are a little chalky on DraftKings. They are the chalk stack on FanDuel. What do you want to do with the Reds?
Who do we have coming in after Chavez? Do we know?
More garbage, if I had to guess.
Well, yeah.
I saw nothing. So let's see. Pull up the Rangers on Fangraphs and see if there's any sort of sign of who it could be. Drew Smiley, maybe?
So that was my guess.
Joseph Palumbo?
What'd you say?
Joseph Palumbo and Drew Smiley are both the two like guys that pitch longer that have not pitched in a while. Palumbo
Yeah.
pitched on the 8th. Smiley went 54 pitches on the 9th.
Yeah. So, I mean, Palumbo is more talented than Smiley, but they would both be guys that I'm perfectly happy taking right-handed power against. Eugenio Suarez is the one that really stands out here. Chavez struggles with right-handed power, and then there's a good chance that it's a lefty reliever or lefty, follower coming in after him. So I think it's a really, really good spot for Suarez. Appealing price tag on Puig as well. But Suarez is the one that really sticks out.
Could also be Shelby Miller, I guess, but he pitched 24 pitches on the 7th, 27 pitches on the 9th, hasn't pitched since. So even if it is, that's, again, not changing anything that I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah, good spot for Cincinnati regardless.
Yeah. Like I said, they're the absolute chalk on FanDuel by a lot. $3,200 Votto, $3,400 Suarez, $2,900 Dietrich. I mean, nobody is really expensive. They're really easy to get to. So I completely understand why that's happening. DK makes it a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, I expect to have at least some sort of amount of Reds because it doesn't matter who's coming in. It's just a really nice spot. Favorite bat in this game?
Suarez.
I might actually go Puig.
Why?
I don't know. Grades out better.
Why?
It's a good question. Let's dig into it. I don't want it to sound like it's 80% Puig, 20% Suarez. In my head, it's like 55-45.
Yeah.
So we're picking nits. $400 cheaper helps. Probably offset by being a little bit further down in the order. A little bit more power, but probably just a coin flip in that regard as well. Actually, it would be Suarez for me just because of the position.
Yes, that's a fair point.
I have Puig by 0.2 of a point. So.
Suarez also just like his numbers against left-handed pitching are through the roof better than Puig's.
That's very true. Yeah, Puig's oddly not great against lefties, even though you would expect him to be incredible.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's like the opposite Suarez of Trevor Story.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I don't like Puig. I just think Suarez is definitely the top guy here.
Yeah. Alrighty. Let's keep it moving. Mets and Cardinals. 4.5 run implied total for the Mets. 4.1 for the Cards. 55% chance to win for New York. Sorry. Steven Matz going for the Mets. Daniel Ponce de Leon going for the Cards. All right, here we go again. Steven Matz, 18% ownership on Yahoo, 11 on FanDuel, 23 on DraftKings. How do you feel about Steven Matz today being relatively chalky? Not so sure I want to get 23% here against the Cardinals.
I wish his price tag would increase because I do think he's a good play here.
Yeah.
At that price, it scares me. Like, I don't want to roster him, but he struck out 25% of righties. He's held them to a 305 expected WOBA. He gives up some power. He doesn't hold runners well. So it's scary, but like he's so cheap that, even if he gives up a couple home runs, as long as guys aren't on base, he can make up for it. It's a really, really dangerous Cardinals lineup. I wish he were going to be lower owned. I was hoping that like Molly being high owned would drive down Matz's ownership projection, but apparently it's not. So that's scary. And just like we said with Texas, getting to some Texas power, getting to a $3,900 Paul Goldschmidt or to Ozuna or DeYoung or Molina, like to any of these guys. Harrison Bader actually is in a really sneaky good spot because he has power and speed. So it's a high upside Cardinals team, and it's a good leverage stack or mini stack. But I just think Matz is priced lower than he really should be.
Yeah, I don't disagree there. I'm just really surprised that he's getting that much love against the Cardinals.
I mean, it's a pricing thing. Like there's hitters to pay for here. There's good pitching to pay for, and he lets you get to it.
Would you rather have Steven Matz at 23% ownership right now or Adam Plutko at 1? Plutko gets the Tigers.
Probably Plutko.
Yeah, same.
Also worth mentioning, Matz has a really favorable hitters umpire in this game.
That is relevant because he's going to need every piece of this. I would much rather have the Cardinals given this scenario. They might be a little bit difficult for me to get to, but I'd rather the hedge of the Cardinals than to play into Matt's ownership, especially at the top with Carpenter, DeJong, Goldschmidt, Ozuna. I'm happy to fill that out with basically anybody else in that lineup. I like the Cardinals more than I like Steven Matz for sure. Do you like any Mets against Ponce de Leon?
Not really. I think Ponce de Leon's pretty decent. Conforto, whenever he's 4,400 on DraftKings, you can always get there at that price, but
Sure.
it's not like it's a priority for me. Yeah, I think Ponce de Leon's good enough that I'm not really interested.
Yeah, I agree. I'd like to get to more Conforto. He's at 2% ownership, completely unowned across the sites. That's just kind of craziness. He makes for a really nice one-off option. Only guy getting ownership in this game from the Mets is 9% going to Dom Smith on FanDuel at 2,300.
Seems about right.
No one getting ownership at all. Goldie at 11 on DK. That's about it. Paul DeJong, $11 on Yahoo, also picking up some love. Again, there's better offense spots.
I'd have some interest in Ponce de Leon if like Andrew Heaney and Eduardo Rodriguez weren't there.
Yeah, I mean, 8,400 is just, that's a really tough sell on this slate.
Yeah, I mean, he's got really good strikeout stuff.
But like you said, he's sandwiched by Heaney and Eduardo Rodriguez in just better spots.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem for me. And he also walks a ton of guys. I don't think he's a better pitcher than Rodriguez or Heaney, and they're both in perfectly good matchups.
Yep. Alrighty, Marlins and Pirates. 4.3 run implied total for the Marlins, 4.1 for the Pirates, 53% chance to win for Miami. Really? Good for them. Trevor Richards going for the Marlins, not even Caleb Smith. Steven Brault going for the Pirates. No ownership going anywhere here except for Trevor Richards at $34 on Yahoo. No real ownership going to the hitting as well. Austin Dean getting love. Starlin Castro getting love. But neither team seems to be an interesting five-man stack. Neither team seems to be a really interesting pitching option. Do you want anything at all in this game?
Nope. I mean, the Richards price tag on Yahoo, like you said, is appealing. But outside of that, no. I kind of I was hoping I would find a reason to have some interest in Brault as a pivot to the Mats and Mollies, but he struck out like 13% of righties this year. The Marlins don't really strike out against lefties. I think that there's other spots you could get to as a pivot that don't involve him. So not really much of anything. Austin Dean, Starlin Castro are both really cheap. They're not great hitters. They're hitting in Miami. So not really anything.
Yeah, I have no interest in anything here. Austin Dean at $7 on Yahoo is an interesting cash option because he's hitting leadoff. I don't expect to have anything. Both teams are in like my bottom five for today. So I don't have a take for this other than don't play anybody, which should cue up some sort of monstrous offensive performance. Keeping it moving. Finishing off the 7-10 games. Tigers and Indians. 4.3 run implied total for the Tigers. 5.1 for the Indians. Ryan Carpenter going for Detroit. Adam Plutko going for Cleveland. Carpenter not getting any ownership. I'm hoping that you're not going there, but I wouldn't be shocked at 4,800. Plutko, $32 on Yahoo, no ownership. 7,600 on FanDuel, no ownership. 7,200 on DK, no ownership. I don't want to say that I like him a lot because that would be overselling who he is. But if Steven Matz is going to be $100 cheaper and 23-1 in ownership, I'd rather just have Adam Plutko. They're not all that different.
Yeah, and it's just clearly the better spot for Plutko. Since last season, he's thrown a little over 700 pitches to right-handed hitters. He struck out 23.5% of righties, 318 expected WOBA. He's allowed power with a 272 ISO.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of power in this lineup. The Tigers' active roster has the second highest strikeout percentage against right-handed pitching this season. They have the second lowest walk percentage. We talk about it every day that it's a high upside matchup for opposing pitchers. And Plutko will have the platoon advantage against the majority of this lineup. I think that like Castellanos and Stewart are good plays, like pretty much always. They have power. Plutko gives up home runs. But overall, I think that he's in a nice strikeout spot, and it's I don't even want to say the word safer. It's just a better matchup, I think, for him, all things considered, than it is for Tyler Mahle or Steven Matz. I think he's the worst pitcher out of the three, and I don't think it's close. But the matchup is just so much more appealing for him.
Yeah, this is a spot that best describes DFS. the price for Adam Plutko and the ownership that he is not getting makes him more appealing than guys that we believe are, clearly better pitchers than him.
Right.
We're not trying to pick who the best players are. We have criteria that we have to meet, and if that's the case, then guys like Plutko sort of rise to the top for me. He's not going to be good more often than not because of who he is, but today against the Tigers, I think they have the ability to make him look better than not good. Any Carpenter, are you going to do it at 4,800?
Probably.
I figured as much. I don't get the sense that I'll be... I think I would rather have Cal Quantrill and Coors, which is an uncomfortable statement to make.
I mean, okay.
I mean, it's two shades of bad, I think.
I think I'd rather have Marco Gonzalez.
It's a reasonable stance. I mean, I would rather have Marco Gonzalez for sure.
Actually, I'd probably... I mean, out of the... Yeah, but I was going to say maybe like a Pomeranz or a Davies, but now we're getting into a completely different price range.
Did you see that tweet from last night about Pomeranz?
Yeah, that was funny.
I could not believe it. Why?
Wait, you're talking about him being at the game, right?
Yeah, people in attendance in Game 6 whose names you may or may not recognize. This was the tweet from Jeff Zilgett. Alex Rodriguez, Barry Bonds, Meta World Peace, Jesse Jackson, Jimmy Iovine, Kylian Mbappe, Drew Pomeranz. I mean, like, Meta World Peace is, like, not famous, but he's Ron Artest, and that's, like, a complete... Like, Drew Pomeranz is, like, the guy of all guys in that list.
Right. Like, Drew Pomeranz walks up and sits down next to any fan, and they're just like, hey, what's up? And
no one knows who he is. I mean, maybe in Oakland, just, like, only because of that.
Right.
But
yeah, but he did pitch for both teams in the Bay Area.
Right. But, yeah, no, it's just, you skip that one. There's got to be another celebrity there, I'm sure. Just put Drake.
There's probably like several guys there too who played for the A's or the Giants or both or whatever, and they're just gonna like, really, Drew Pomeranz made the list and I didn't.
Yeah, like put Zach Lowe. Actually, Drake, I guess, wasn't there, right?
I
was in Toronto. He had a ridiculous quote about winning it. Let me see. I'm sorry. Now I got to find it because it's just the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I need to find Paul Flannery's email. Or where is it? Oh, where is it? There it is. Got it. Maybe I don't have it. All right, I've ruined everything. Wasn't fast enough. Something about having chips with dip. It made no sense whatsoever. He likes his chips with dip. Where is it? Drake wants the Raptors chip with some dips. There it is. Nope. Also not there. All right, I give up. I want my chips with the dip. What a... Perfect. Kawhi Leonard bringing a chip to the city. I want my chips with the dip. That's all I know. I don't want my chips plain. I want my chips with the dips. So bring them dips. That dynasty's over.
What?
How many drinks did Drake have before he gave that quote? Let's talk about Indians bats here. Very, very, very popular. They are the chalk stack on DraftKings. They are second behind the Reds on FanDuel, and that's basically just because of the Reds' pricing. Lindor, Jose Ramirez, Jordan Luplow getting a ton of ownership. Oscar Mercado getting quite a bit of ownership. What do you want to do with the Indians against Ryan Carpenter?
I'm fine with whatever I get. It's a nice park. Nice park for hitters. Carpenter's not any good. Tigers bullpen gives you upside. Luplow batting fourth is reasonably priced. Jose Ramirez is free, even though he might be bad at hitting now. I really don't know. Lindor obviously is really good. Mercado's okay. They're okay. They're just, I don't know. They're not a team I love rostering as chalk because they don't have that much power.
They really don't. I mean, like, Mercado's bad. He's projected for double digits in ownership. I like Jordan Luplow and all. He's an average hitter. That 27% ownership on FanDuel. They just seem a little heavy in the ownership. I
Yeah,
like some Indians, but I will not be above the field or with the field on this. I assume that I'll have like 2/3 of it.
yeah, and then being popular makes it more likely that I have some $4,800 Ryan Carpenter.
Oh, lucky you.
Not that there's any. And to be clear, there's nothing about Ryan Carpenter I like. It's just that he's really cheap, and there's hitters that I like on the slate.
Nah, I hear you. Any Tigers bats?
Yeah, Stewart and Castellanos.
Yeah, I agree. My boy's just gone. Pour
What?
one out. Pour one out for him.
Miggy?
Yeah, Candelario.
Oh, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Thought it was pretty well known. He was my boy here. Perfect time for you guys to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Really helpful for us if you subscribe. You'll get alerts so you know when we go live, and you can't beat that because we've got Awesome Odds betting show coming up at 11:30. We've got the Yahoo strategy show today. No boss man, no Jake Hari. It's going to be myself and EMAC breaking down Yahoo today at 1 o'clock. Deeper dive going from 4:45 to 6 with Adam and Laffy. Live before lock, myself and Chris Spags. We've got a ton of content today, so if you don't want to miss it, subscribe to the channel. But hit that like button first. That's really easy. If you're here every day, you should be hitting that. Moving on. Braves and Phillies. 5.1 run implied total for the Braves. 4.3 for the Phils. 58% chance to win for Atlanta. Max Fried going for the Braves. Nick Pivetta going for the Phillies. No ownership at all going to these pitchers except Max Fried at 6,900 on DraftKings. 12% ownership. What do you want to do with Max Fried at 6,900? Why is he 6,900?
Yeah, I don't know. The strikeouts haven't really been there this year. It's not a great matchup against Philly, but he's still really good at limiting quality contact. He's still good at preventing runs. Has a 3.54 PCRA, which is perfectly fine. And yeah, I think that if he's going to get lower ownership than Matt's in his spot or Molly in his, that he's another guy that I could see kind of like flipping the exposures where I get around 20% Freed and like 12% Molly or Matt's or both or whatever.
Premium Slack is just driving off the rails right now. This is another spot where like Steven Matz is 7,100 and has twice as much ownership as Max Fried. Like, I get the Phillies are a little scary here, but at least it's in Atlanta, not Philadelphia. There is potential here for Max Fried to just roll out 10 Ks or something crazy. I mean, I know that's a really aggressive outcome for Fried, but I love his stuff, even if it hasn't translated. Get me some Fried.
Yeah, I think he's a good pitcher. I think he's good going forward. I think that it's not a great matchup, but again, it's not like it's a great matchup for Molly or for Matts. And if Fried's going to be a little bit lower owned, I'll take the talent there.
Do you want any Nick Pivetta against the Braves?
I believe in his stuff, but I hate taking guys against Atlanta, especially when the alternatives around him are Heaney against Tampa or Rodriguez against Baltimore or even Ponce de Leon against the Mets. So I don't think I get Pivetta here.
Yeah, I agree. He's not getting any love. I would like to, but 8,600 is just way too much for him on this particular day. I'd like him a little bit more at Max Fried's price, but that should come as no surprise. I'd rather them flip-flop. Do you anticipate getting any bats? Phillies getting no love. Braves getting no love outside of Josh Donaldson getting 13% ownership on FanDuel. I'm always interested in Bryce Harper. I'm always interested in Acuna or Freeman or Donaldson, but I don't see this as a 5-man stack game for me.
Yeah, I don't see it as that appealing of a game. Maybe some one-offs from Atlanta, just hoping that Pivetta, makes a mistake. Acuna and Donaldson are both reasonably priced. So is Freeman. Donaldson, I think we're waiting on suspension news still, maybe. But obviously that doesn't really matter at this point. We'll have a lineup. So yeah, it's more like one-offs against Pivetta.
Okay. Favorite bat in this game?
Donaldson, if he's in the lineup.
Probably Acuna for me. Harper close. Is Bryce Harper just not that good? I don't mean it like he's bad. But are we anchored too much to the season that he had that was just completely outlandish?
Oh, I mean, this season it's just really concerning too because like strikeouts stabilize quickly and you can start to kind of buy into them at this point. And he's striking out an insane amount compared to in the past. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I always thought he was kind of overrated anyway, but I kind of chalked that up to me just hating the Nationals.
Sure.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I don't know. Like,
overrated is the right word because he's clearly like really good.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I think that he's a very good hitter.
Yeah.
I don't think he's in like the same class as that top tier of guys.
Yeah. That 2015 season with the 197 weighted runs created plus is looking like quite the outlier. 9.3 wins above replacement that season, which is, hold on, 7, 8. Man, that's pretty close to his total over 17, 18, and all of 19. Kind of crazy. I'll still roster the hell out of him at 4,600, though.
Yeah.
Any other takes out of this Braves Phillies game?
Nope. I agree with you on Acuna. Like if Donaldson weren't in the lineup, Acuna would be my top guy here.
Okay. Dude's good. It's a shame that him and Albies are just making peanuts for the next 8 years. Peanuts, relatively speaking.
Right.
What happened to Ozzy Albies being a guy that hits at the top of the order? Projected to hit 8th. Where'd he go?
He doesn't hit very good. Well,
I guess.
And Swanson figured out how to hit.
Right. True. Alrighty. Time to talk about the other ace of the day. Astros and Blue Jays. 5.1 run implied total for the Stros. 3 run implied total for the Jays. 72% chance to win for Houston. Highest number on the slate. Gerrit Cole going for the Astros. Aaron Sanchez going for the Jays. We kind of let off with it a little bit just because of talking with Scherzer, but Cole is the most expensive guy on FanDuel DK. He's actually $1 behind Scherzer on Yahoo, but he is my favorite play of the day. The strikeouts there from the Blue Jays, they have the ability to just completely curl up and die as an offense. They've been good these past 2 days, but I'm betting on Gerrit Cole to be that guy. 41% ownership on Yahoo, 15 on FanDuel, 30 on DraftKings. He is the chalk pitcher on DK. He is the chalk pitcher on FanDuel, although at 15% on FanDuel, that's not even chalk. So you don't even really need to pay attention to ownership on FanDuel today. If he's at 15, everybody's low. What would you like to do with Gerrit Cole other than just play the hell out of him?
That's it. I mean, it's a good strikeout matchup. He's got ridiculously good strikeout stuff. He's a really, really good pitcher. I mean, the only argument I have for not rostering Cole is that you're allocating almost $12,000 to a pitcher on a site with 15 offenses, with 30 offenses with 15 games. But on the other hand, that means that there's plenty of value bats that you can use to do that. And there are some mid-range arms that you can get to where you're still only paying 18 to 20K at pitcher. So I think it's the number one pitcher.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's hard to avoid. Obviously, Scherzer also fantastic, but Gerrit Cole has the ability to put up a score that is a requirement to win a tournament, and not a lot of guys have that sort of consistency. Gerrit Cole can be in the mid 40s, and you would not even bat an eye at it today. Gonna have a lot. Gonna have more than 30, that's for sure. Do you anticipate getting to Blue Jays bats on the other side?
No.
Okay.
If I were going to one, it would be Guerrero.
I'll probably have 1 or 2 full 5-mans of the Jays. Not that it'll be intentional, but they do have power upside. So they're the type of Cole is the nuts, and I don't normally want to target against guys like this. But at the very least, the Blue Jays have the profile of a team that can put the runs together. I can't really advocate for much more. Do you see how cheap they are on DK?
Yeah. I mean, but so cool, you can use the Blue Jays so that you can afford Cole. I mean,
cool, you could use the Blue Jays to afford Scherzer.
Yeah, but then you're just not getting Cole.
Agreed.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that makes sense. Especially to me, I don't really have interest as a stack because I think it's just so low probability. But
Agreed.
If you're getting 1 or 2 of these power guys and just hoping that they connect with a Cole pitch and maybe he walks someone and then they hit a home run and that's -4 for Cole. Guerrero has the power, so does Grichuk, so does Smoke. They don't have the contact ability, they don't have the on base ability, but they do have the power.
I think the most likely scenario is small combos of Biggio if he's leading off. Guerrero, Grichuk. Smoke, probably.
Yeah, I would throw Teoscar in there too, but
yeah. All right, I guess tell us.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you can get to a lot of guys here if you're just looking for a really cheap guy with a high ISO and, ignoring who he faces.
So this would be a really good example of what we talked about in my my musings in my brain last night, where it wouldn't, like, I would happily uncheck the box for 5-man Blue Jays and take whatever sort of combinations I got at 3 and below.
Right.
But let's be clear here. The crown jewel coming out of this game is Gerrit Cole.
Yeah, we just spent way too much time talking about Toronto bats.
I just love the Toronto bats. That's sort of my fault. Do you like the Astros bats here against Sanchez?
They're okay. I will say that I think I would rather get Sanchez than Carpenter. He's like the cheap guy that I could kind of see getting to. I just think that he's a more talented pitcher than that price tag. I don't think Carpenter is a more talented pitcher than that price tag. Obviously not a good matchup against Houston, but they are still missing 3 really good hitters in their lineup. They are, at this point, they're a pretty balanced lineup because they've filled in with some lefties, but just, really, really cheap price tag for Sanchez. He's someone that I could see getting to. Alvarez is still affordable, so I like that. Brantley's affordable. I don't know. I kind of doubt that I get a ton of Houston.
Same. I have very little interest. They're not picking up much love. I'm in for like Josh Reddick. Bregman is never a guy who you're ever like, oh no, I got Alex Bregman.
Right.
But it's not all that interesting. I'm kind of surprised just because of their implied total, but it's just not the Astros team that you expect it to be. And they're kind of pricey. Like, I don't need to spend $4,500 on Robinson Chirinos. It's too much. Yep. Even with the power. I'd rather play more of this team. Minnesota Twins hosting the Kansas City Royals. 5.6 run implied total for the Twins, 3.9 for the Royals, 67% chance to win for Minnesota. Kyle Gibson going for the Jakes. Brad Keller going for the Royals. Gibson right now, this is craziness to me. I'm really anxious to get your thoughts. 3% ownership on Yahoo, 8 on FanDuel at 8,300, 3% on DraftKings at 9,300. I want to have more Kyle Gibson than this. Am I crazy?
I don't think I will.
Okay.
I think it's an okay spot, but he's relatively expensive. He's expensive enough to where he's costing you some stuff over those mid-range guys. And if you just, look at strikeout percentage, he has a lower strikeout percentage than Rodriguez. He has a lower strikeout percentage than Molly. He has a slightly higher strikeout percentage than Matz, but in the same ballpark. Even Drew Pomeranz is within 1 percentage point of Gibson's strikeout percentage. So it just kind of feels like you're paying up for no reason.
And I get that. I probably like him a little bit more on FanDuel at 83 than I do at DK at 93. I am intrigued though with him just being completely unowned in a matchup where, he's really interesting on FanDuel because I think he's got a really good likelihood of picking up a win and getting that quality start bonus because of the way that he pitches and the matchup himself. Like, getting to 6 innings and not giving up 3 runs seems like a pretty likely scenario on a day like today.
That's true.
So FanDuel uniquely set up there with their scoring system. If he's really 3%, I feel pretty safe doing it, but he is overpriced, and that's kind of the struggle for me. I don't want to have a lot, but I expect to have more than 3% if that's where the public is.
I would guess there's a better chance of me having none than having like 10%.
Okay. But still, I definitely think that I'm more likely to have 10 than none.
And I think Gibson's good, so it's not like I'm, never on Gibson or anything.
I don't want to say overrate because I don't know if that's the right term for this, but I do tend to get to these guys that are more volume plays than high strikeout plays more often than not. Like that seems to be a thing that I get to.
I don't. I'm the exact opposite.
The Miles Michaelises and the Rick Porcellos, the guys that I'm trying to get like innings instead of strikeouts for.
I think that plate the other day is like the perfect example of where you go and where I go. You had a ton of Michaelis. I had 6%. I actually
didn't. And by the end of the day, I had basically 0 Michaelis.
Oh, okay.
But in the morning, it was a stance that I was taking. I don't want it to sound like I was just like, no, man, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
I had him in the morning, but once the lineups and everything lines moved, he tumbled.
Yeah, because that was the day that I went to like 20 or 30% Mitch Keller.
Yeah. But I normally do have more of the field than Michaelis. Like that's very, very regular. Let's talk about these Twins bats though. 5.6 run implied total. It's the highest implied total of the slate that isn't Coors. Well, I guess I can't imagine you want Keller here. It's a little too expensive.
Yeah, for the very limited strikeout upside he has, I don't really want him in this spot. But I also think the Minnesota run total is weird. It's obviously they're a really good offense, and it wouldn't be shocking if they're the top scorer or one of the top scorers on the slate. But I wouldn't peg them as being one of the top offenses because Keller doesn't get strikeouts, but he does a really, really good job of limiting power, particularly against left-handed hitters. And yeah, the Twins have a lot of power, but to me, I kind of give the edge. I'm more interested in power teams when they're facing a pitcher who like gets a lot of strikeouts but also gives up power. Keller, the entire reason Keller's in the major leagues is his ability not to give up power. It's not like the Royals think he's a high strikeout guy and they're just waiting for it. That's not who he is. He's a guy that does a very good job of getting the ball on the ground and not giving up home runs. So, I'm fine with the Twins. Obviously, they're really, really good hitters, but it just seems like not as good a spot as maybe it appears.
They are completely unowned.
Oh, okay. Then I assume they were popular.
No. Highest ownership on anybody from the Twins on any site is 5% to Nelson Cruz on FanDuel.
No, then yeah, go to the Twins.
Okay. I had to let you get through it all first before you were just like, and then throw out all of that shit I just said.
Yeah, I mean, they have a 6 implied run total and nobody on the team's over 5K on DraftKings. I assumed that they had ownership.
Yeah. Well, we can feel even better now. Do you want to know why?
Why?
John V, Twins equal bust. I might have 100% twin stacks today now. Just for the satisfaction of it all. Kepler, Cruz, Polanco, Eddie Rosario. I mean, I'm in for these guys. They're not too crazy from a pricing perspective. They're like I get that they're not over 5K, but like everybody is sort of a little costly.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm in. I'm in for sure. I want to have more than the field having zilch. There's just too many. There's too much run potential here, and way too much power in this lineup for them to go completely ignored. I'm really anxious to see when Alex's projections come out and see the top stacks, how high the Twins rank in their percentage of being the top stack, because clearly their ownership is going to be at the floor. So it seems like it'll be a spot where there's a pretty decent gap. Any Royals bats for you here against Gibson? Luke Duda, $7 on Yahoo if it matters.
Yeah, I mean that's an okay price tag, but no, I think there's enough spots to go to that I don't need to pick on Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, I think I agree. Luke Duda on Yahoo, Luke Duda on FanDuel at 2,200 stands out, but don't forget that when you do that, he's Luke Duda. To the White Sox we go. Sox 4.3 run implied total. Yankees 4.3. It's a 50-50 game. Gonna have to go in here and manually adjust Luke Giolito again. Giolito going for the White Sox. CC Sabathia going for the Yanks. It's going to be a really tough day to spend 11-1 on Luke Giolito today, I think. No matter what sort of goosing of his projections I want to give him, to get to Cole and Scherzer is going to be really, really problematic. Are you going to be on your boy?
Yeah, I was going to say, am I the only one that pretty much just takes whatever my projection for Giolito is and then doubles it and assumes that's where it should be?
It might not be double, but I'm certainly going to be bumping it a little bit.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just a really tough slate for him because he's in the same price range as Scherzer and Cole, and he deserves it.
Yeah.
But he's not Gerrit Cole. He's on this particular slate, he has the 4th highest strikeout percentage. That's pretty unusual. The 5th highest strikeout percentage. He's slightly behind Robbie Ray also. And that's excluding Heaney. So I mean, it's just a weird slate for him. I think he's a really good pitcher. I have zero interest in the Yankees, but it's really tough for me to get to Giolito.
Yeah, I just went ahead and bumped his strikeout rate. He's at 23% in Steamer, but I need to go a little bit higher. He's been at 30 this year. Look, like, it shouldn't be, you shouldn't project him at 31, which is where he's at now. 23 feels a little low. There's a number in the middle there that
I think you should be projecting him at about 30.
I can't agree, but the answer is probably like 27, 28 for right now.
Strikeout percentage stabilizes quickly, and he's a completely different pitcher than he has been in the past in terms of delivery and command. You know, I have no reason to think, like, to me, this is like Giolito as a rookie. Like, I don't care at all about any past data, and we have however many starts now with him striking out like 30% of hitters.
I agree, but when you say that strikeout rate stabilizes quickly, what you're talking about is the amount of batters that he needs to face before you regress it halfway to the mean.
Right.
Even still, we're regressing 30 to 22 at a halfway point right now. If I really had to bet, I would bet that it stays in like the 29-30 range. But even just throwing Steamer in the garbage and using this year, you're still bringing it down to like 26, 27.
Yeah, that's fair.
Either way, Luke Giolito has turned into the guy that we thought he would be after a full hour-and-a-half process show last year, watching him get tagged. We thought we figured this out 6 months ago, but we were wrong. Or actually, way more than 6 months now. Can't play him today, though. He's just...
I wouldn't say can't. Like, I would rather play him than Ray.
Oh, yeah, so would I. I would rather play Rich Hill. I'd rather play Blake Snell.
I'd rather play Giolito than Hill.
Okay. Snell? By the way, Giolito, 1% ownership across the board.
What'd you say?
1% ownership on Giolito.
Right, yeah, I mean, I think him and Snell if Snell were the same price tag, I'd rather play Giolito. But with an $1,100 price difference on DraftKings, I think it's really, really close.
Ultimately, no matter how good we think Luke Giolito is this season, Gerrit Cole and Max Scherzer have the track record that there is no ambiguity in anything that they are doing, and they have, solid matchups in one way or the other. Where, White Sox Park isn't great. The Yankees are at worst an average offense. There's scary power there. Just not going to be a spot that I'm getting to. You getting any of CC?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, you and me both. Bats in this game. Neither team picking up too much love. Yankees have a little bit of it on DK. I kind of like the Yankees here. Should come as no surprise. They're pretty cheap for the amount of power that they offer. Do you think you'll get to the Yankees?
Not at all.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're facing basically like one of the best pitchers in baseball.
I like their price tags too much to ignore them. Aaron Hicks at 4,100. Gary Sanchez only at 4,700 is kind of crazy to me. Luke Voigt finally coming back down, not over 5K like he was a couple of weeks ago. Gregorius, not my favorite player in the world, but 3,800 for a shortstop. They're really affordable. I know it's a scary spot against Luke Giolito. But I think that I end up with a little bit more Yankees just because of those price tags.
What's Scherzer's ownership projection on DraftKings?
30. Nope, 25. 30 is Cole.
And Giolito's 1?
1.
I almost prefer Giolito.
I don't even know what I would have to do to Lucas Giolito's projection to get him to where that would be a reasonable decision. And I just mashed his strikeout projection big time. But I don't necessarily disagree with you. I just really don't like it being a start in Chicago against the Yankees. Like, although the run total is reasonable, 4.3, that's letting you know right there how good Luke Giolito has become. Man,
yeah, I mean, like Scherzer's the better play. I don't mean it like that. I just think like with the ownership difference, it's certainly viable.
Oh man, Luke Giolito making things hard in my life. Do you like any Yankees bats?
No.
Okay. Do you like any White Sox bats?
Eloy Jimenez.
Okay. I'm in for Jose Abreu as well.
Yep.
I expect to have more Yankees than I probably want to by the time we get to lock, but I'm anxious to see where Alex's projections come in because that'll tell a big time story. Oh, God. Got people talking in YouTube chat about how BVP is real, so I'm going to keep it moving. Heading to Coors. Rockies and Padres, 6.1 run implied total for the Rocks, 5.9 for the Padres, 52% chance to win for Colorado. Jeff Hoffman going for the Rockies. Cal Quantrill going for the Padres. No ownership going to the pitchers here. Do you anticipate getting to Hoffman or Quantrill?
No.
I do. I think that I'll have a couple bites at the apple of Cal Quantrill today. I can't justify it, really. I think he's like an average pitcher at best, but he's 5K, and no one will touch him, and I'll probably end up with like 5%. He has the best value for me of all these pitchers in the garbage at the bottom. I'm not proud of that.
Yeah, I mean they're all comparable to me. I would have Sanchez as my favorite. Using that word very, very loosely.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, this is not a spot where I mean, like, yeah, let's get some like yesterday. I really did like John Gray. Obviously, these are very different pitchers, but like, you know, the ingredients are the same. It's a guy pitching in Coors. Didn't mind being many multiples over the field. I'll mind here. It just might happen.
And actually, I'll take that back. If we're including Marco Gonzalez, he's my favorite out of the really cheap guys.
Okay. That's fair. So how do you want to manage the bats here? Obviously, both teams are popular. You don't get to 12-run game totals without having at least a little bit of love. So do you prefer the Rockies or the Pods?
I don't have a single bat in this game that I don't like.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't like the Padres' pricing is more appealing. The Rockies are the team that I think is a better offense in a better spot. But yeah, I mean, just as much hitting from this game as I can possibly get.
I'm with you. I don't care about the ownership. I just want to get these bats because this is the biggest opportunity for runs. Love the first four for the Rockies. Blackman, Story, Dahl, Arenado. Man, I'm glad the Padres aren't starting a lefty. I wouldn't have been able to get the Story. I mean, Machado, 4,300, third base, shortstop, dual eligibility, 4,300 in Coors. Can't avoid that. Austin Hedges, 23% expected ownership right now. A 3K catcher in Coors.
A 3K catcher with power in Coors.
Yeah. I'm in.
This isn't like Jeff Mathis.
It's hilarious how people act like BVP is irrelevant. That's a statement that's going on right now.
I mean, I think that BVP is real, and in that some hitters do hit better against some pitchers. Yes. I have no idea how to tell you which ones that's the case and which ones it's just noise, and I have no idea how to quantify that in a projection, so it becomes irrelevant.
Bingo. And Sean V doubling down with a sample size. It's definitely relevant. So no one ever gets that sample size. By the time you get to like 100 batters faced for these guys, it means that they have faced him for the past like 10 years.
Right.
Which, you know, I'm sure CC Sabathia has a ton of like high at bat totals for BVP. I'm going to go out on a limb and say CC Sabathia in 08 is a little different than 2019.
Yeah.
I want everything in this game, and I don't think that there's a limit to what I'll get. Rockies aren't that popular. I mean, like they're hard to get to because of their price tags, but only Blackman and Story on DraftKings in double digits.
Yeah, I mean, 15-game slate, you can kind of do whatever you want with offenses.
Yeah.
Like even the most popular offenses, especially if they're expensive ones, their ownership's going to be kind of muted relative to other slates.
All righty. 3 to go. A's and Mariners. A's 5.2 run implied total. Mariners 4. 62% chance to win for the A's. Chris Bassett going for Oakland. Marco Gonzalez going for the Mariners. Let's talk about Marco Gonzalez. He's at 5% ownership. Bassett, very low owned as well. You expect to be over the field on that 5% number for Marco?
Probably, just because he's really, really cheap. He's a mediocre pitcher, but he's in a good pitcher's park. He's facing a team that doesn't strike out a lot and does have power, but he does a decent job of not giving up a ton of power. The park will help there as well. He's not a strikeout pitcher anyway. He's just good at getting fly balls that don't go over the fence, and he's cheap enough where that works for me.
I'll have him. I'll have more than that 5% number. I expect Marco Gonzalez and Cal Quantrill to be the guys that I pay down for. And I'll feel a lot better about Marco Gonzalez, probably. I won't feel good about either, really.
Yes, I don't feel good about it. It's just, I think that he's in the best combination of like ballpark, matchup, and talent level out of the cheap guys.
You want Bassett?
I'd rather just have Rodriguez.
Yeah, I agree. Just not a spot for me today. How do you want to handle Oakland bats? 5-run implied total. I know we just got done talking about Marco Gonzalez, but this is a team with a lot of power, and they lean really heavily to the right-hand side. Only real downside is just playing in Oakland, but very affordable at the top of the order. Not really getting much ownership outside of 11% to Chris Davis, which is basically nothing on this slate. Sign me up for some Oakland stacks at the top.
Yeah, I think it's more one-offs and mini stacks for me, just trying to get some of the power in here. I think Gonzalez is a good enough pitcher where I don't even want to say like good enough, but I think that the conditions and everything, it's unlikely Oakland's like the highest scoring team on the slate, but you do have so much right-handed power with Davis, with Piscotty, with Chapman, that getting to them as one-offs or mini stacks makes sense to me.
11% Chris Davis in this spot is still just sort of like that number should be higher.
Yeah, probably.
Love Chapman, love Semien. I like it all. I want to get some Oakland here. There's just too much power in this lineup. Hopefully it can translate to the spacious confines of O.co. Did they rename it? I can't remember anymore.
Nope, it's O.co.
Gotcha. So is that a URL that you've ever typed in? Is that a URL? What does O.co mean?
Oakland Coliseum.
Really? O.co gets to Overstock. If you type that in like a URL.
Pretty sure. I always thought it was just short for Oakland Alameda County Coliseum.
If you type that in, if you type O.co into your browser, do you go directly to Overstock?
Yeah.
Man, that was really fun. Craziness. I don't know. Maybe it is Overstock. I don't know anything about it. I'm sure Overstock will go out of business and it'll be somebody else soon enough. Every other stadium name rights.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like if you Google the stadium, it's not Overstock Field or anything. It's the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum.
Fair enough. Any Mariners bats for you?
Probably not. Not a good park. Decent pitcher in Bassett. Seager's cheap, so that's appealing, but there are other third base options too, so not really.
Yeah. Seager for me. Encarnacion, but not a spot that I'm stacking up this game. 2 to go. We're going to have a lot to talk about here, I think, or at least I might. Dodgers and Cubs. 4-run implied total for the Dodgers, 3.6 for the Cubs. 55% chance to win for the Dodgers. Rich Hill going for LA. Kyle Hendricks going for the Cubs. Hendricks getting no love whatsoever. Very low ownership. Very expensive. Fine by me. I'm going to ignore him as well. $48 for Rich Hill on FanDuel, 13% ownership. $9,700 on FanDuel at 5%. $10,300 on DraftKings, 5%. Rich Hill's my third favorite pitcher on the day. I don't know how much I get to him because I expect most of my exposure to be wrapped up in Cole and Scherzer. Because while Rich Hill is my third favorite pitcher, there is a giant gap between 2 and 3. So I like Rich Hill. I liked Kershaw last night. It ended up working out. I can see it happening in a similar way today, but just because of the way the rest of pitching is structured, with Erod, with Heaney, with the two guys at the top. I'd be surprised if I get to as much Hill as I would if this was structured a bit differently.
Right. I like Hill. I have him slightly behind Snell and Giolito, but I don't expect to really get to any of that group all that much. So, yeah, like he's fine, but I prefer Cole. I prefer Heaney. I prefer Rodriguez.
It's a scary spot. I mean, there's a ton of power in this Cubs lineup. I'll probably be north of that 5% number on DK, or at least somewhere close to it. But if this was just slightly different, if one of Cole or Scherzer wasn't there, I'm miles above the field on Rich Hill. Do you get to Kyle Hendricks at all, or is he just way too expensive for you?
Way too expensive in the spot for me. A good example of a better real-life pitcher than DFS pitcher facing the Dodgers. I'd have more interest in getting some of the Dodgers' power than in Hendricks.
Okay.
Not that I like the Dodgers a ton here, but they're cheap and have a lot of power.
So I know that I just got done talking about how much I like Rich Hill, but I kind of like the Cubs bats on DraftKings. They're not all that expensive. It's a terrible spot for offense, but lefty power playing up a little bit. So Schwarber and Rizzo stand out a little bit for me. Even though you are getting the lefty-lefty, they're going completely unowned. No one is touching the Cubs. Do you have any interest in Cubs bats?
Not really. I have a ton of respect for Rich Hill. Chris Bryant's too cheap for his talent level. Baez is underpriced, probably for his upside, not for his projection. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of just doubt I get to much of this game at all.
I think I end up getting to enough Cubs that kind of like they're at 1% ownership. They're just no one's touching them. I get the sense that I'll probably have like 3 or 4 in the aggregate.
I feel that way about the Dodgers. You have Cody Bellinger, who's been the best hitter in baseball at like a 10% discount from where he's been most of the season. Jock Peterson's cheap, Muncie's cheap, Verdugo is always cheap. The Taylor Hernandez group is cheap, and they just have so much power.
I want to have more of this game than the public does because no one is owned. No one more than 4. Well, Wilson Contreras is 12 on Yahoo, but everybody else is 4% or lower. Both teams, all 3 sites. I'll probably end up with more offense than I would have expected, just because there's a ton of power in this game. We could just see bomb city here, or it could be a 1-0 game because both pitchers are good.
Yeah, both pitchers are really good. And it's a 15. If it were a shorter slate, I have more interest.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Close it out now. Dude, 15 games, hour and 22 minutes right now. We're cruising. That kind of slate. 3.9 run implied total for the Giants, 4.6 for the Brewers, 58% chance to win for Milwaukee. Noted celebrity Drew Pomeranz going for San Francisco. Zach Davies going for the Brew Crew. I don't want any pitching in this game, so I'm just going to leave it there. Do you? You probably love Pomeranz.
Yeah, I have interest in Pomeranz. Park helps. Price tag is nice. I assume he's not going to have ownership. If he has ownership, then my take completely changes. But it's a really difficult matchup for him. But there are some numbers that are still appealing. He hasn't been good this season, but he has struck out 24% of hitters. That's good to see. He ranks 11th. Yeah, 11th in 2-strike percentage out of all starting pitchers that have thrown at least 750 pitches. For context, the pitchers ahead of him are Paddock, DeGrom, Cole, Smith, Paxton, Lyles, Scherzer, Verlander, Bailey, Bumgarner. And then it's Price, Odorizzi, Sale, Snell for the rest of the 15. So for the most part, he's in really, really good company there. And that's an important stat that I like to use because, for one, obviously, if you're getting 2 strikes, you have a good chance of getting strikeouts. But the quality of contact just really goes down when hitters have 2 strikes. So when you're in those counts, you're less likely to give up home runs, less likely to get hit hard. So I do have interest in Pomeranz, assuming he's low owned at this price, just because, the matchup's scary, but it's not like it's, when you factor in the park and everything, it's not like it's really more dangerous than the Cardinals for Matz or the Rangers for Molly. Pomeranz is a little bit less expensive. The strikeout percentage is right in the same ballpark as Matz and Molly. And there are at least some underlying numbers that point to Pomeranz being decent.
I normally get to a lot of Brewers just on every slate. They have a nice 4.6 run implied total. It's kind of surprising to me, but San Francisco's park is basically the opposite of Milwaukee's. Lefty power here goes to die here. It's the greatest thing in the world in Milwaukee. I don't really get the sense that I'm going to have much Brewers. I kind of want to, but it's not going to be today. I'm mostly just not on this game. Is there anything that stands out for you outside of Pomeranz?
Ryan Braun.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get cheap with like Perez, Aguilar, and Arcia. So I mean, the right-handed bats in the Milwaukee lineup.
I just want to avoid this park. I think Pomeranz is solid, and I mean, you're really on this 15 gamer. You're really looking for an outlier performance, and while the Brewers have that sort of power, I mean, you're going to need a very specific set of circumstances for those dongs to make it worth it. I won't be here, basically at all. Braun on FanDuel at 3,100 will get some love from me. But that's it. So let's sum it up. Favorite stacks today on DK?
Coors game.
Yeah.
Red Sox, if you can get there. Man, this slate's pretty wide open. Cardinals, Rangers because of leverage.
I'm with you. Red Sox, Coors game. I like the Indians, but they're chalky, so I don't get the sense that I'll have that same sort of volume. They're really easy to get to. And I'll probably be a little bit different in getting to some Yankees. All right, plugs. Once again, hit the like button first and foremost. We've got Awesome Odds betting show coming up in 27 minutes, talking U.S. Open, talking Women's World Cup, talking NBA Finals being over. Shout out to Toronto. Ben Rasa, Jordan Frank, Jason Roslin popping on a little bit to talk golf. We'll have the Yahoo specific strategy show coming up at 1 o'clock. Myself and EMAC breaking it down for about an hour, somewhere in that neighborhood. And then deeper dive, 4:45. Adam and Laffy breaking them all down once again, live before lock. Then myself and Chris Baggs closing it out. Deep dive will be out from Laffy in the early afternoon. Adam, am I missing anything else? Anything to plug?
Nope, I think that's it.
There we go, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out the door. Subscribe. Thank you to Yahoo for being our presenting sponsor. I'll drop the link one last time to EMAC's Yahoo specific article into the chat. If you're looking to sign up, please use the link that's inside the article. Use the promo code AWESEMO. Get $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. And that's it. MLB Strategies, the promo code 50% off if you want to sign up with us. We can come into Premium Slack and we can tell you about how BVP is not a thing. Otherwise, enjoy your weekend, everybody. I'm out of here. Adam's out of here. Have some fun. Good luck. Bye.